happy to present my dear colleague and friend, Motta, who will moderate this important panel, the new digital technologies in the sports rights. Everyone knows the sports rights now developed, and the digital is, you can say, maybe the main part now for everyone. So we have our guest speakers, Mr. Juan Fernandez, representative of LaLiga here in Egypt, and my friend Tamer Yousry from Mediapro Egypt as well, was responsible for the AFCON 2019, and my dear friend Joelle, a lawyer from France, and finally Mr. Alfonso, lawyer from Valencia, Spain.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. First of all, we'd like to thank Fernandez for the fantastic and warm welcome in Egypt. It's a big honor and pleasure for me, for all of us to be here today. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Yaf for this, also for this fantastic event. I do it on behalf of the whole board in the name of Patricia. Thank you so much for the kind invitation. I think Nasser has already made the presentation of my colleagues here today. I will make a short presentation as an introduction of the topic, and then hopefully this is a very live debate. Please raise your questions, your issues during our debate. Because synergy and opinions here are very welcome. So I wonder if you could just a quick introduction. Just go, yeah. I'd like to start. This is a picture. This is me. This is in 1996. For those that doesn't know, I'm a former football director of Flamengo. Actually, Flamengo won yesterday 5-0 in the finals of Libertadores Cup that we played in Chile on the 23rd. So the interesting thing of this picture, you might ask me, Marcos, why are you showing this picture? This is 96. I was a football director. Behind me, you see there are plenty of players. Many of these players were in the national squad of Brazil later on. This was junior squad. If you see on my table, there was no mobile, there was no computer, and the scouting was made only by pictures. So I had all the information from all my players in paper printed in front of me. This is the way that used to do the scouting in Flamengo. Please remember. So this is 2019. For those who doesn't know, this is a Y Scout. It's a platform for scouting, electronic scouting of players. Fantastic tool. There are many tools in the market, but I took this example. Please, this is me again. For those who doesn't know, this is Maracanã Stadium, old times before the World Cup. This is the way that they used to watch the matches. This was me. Around 100,000 people in the stadiums that day. You see my hands. There's a mobile. This was in 97. Was the first mobile that I had. If you see this kind of mobile, someone here remember this kind of mobile? This Motorola, the PT500 was big as this. Remember that? You carry the batteries in your back pocket. But this mobile, there was no internet, no WhatsApp, no information, no platform, absolutely nothing. In my other pocket was not only this mobile, but was a radio. Yes, I used to watch the matches as a football director with a radio in my hands. And you want to ask me why? Also, for those that doesn't know, Maracanã Stadium is a convex pitch. So when you see the match in this position, from the big circle in the center, beyond, I could only see the players from here to the top. So I never see when it was a fault, when an offside, or whatever. So the radio was important because I was listening to the commentators to see if it was fault, it was offside or whatsoever. So you see there was absolutely no technology, no impact. Please run. This is VAR, 2019, around 20 screens, 10 referees checking each play of the match. So you see from 97 to 2009 how the match has developed. Please one. Sorry. This is this is top 10 sports by growth. Very interesting. It's a very new survey from Price Waterhouse published last week. This is the sports that are fast growing in the market. So that you have a look on it. You see esports is the first one. I think that we're going to touch this today here. And then comes football, and then basketball, urban sports, and that's a reason why is that. Bishara touched yesterday that average growth of these sports in the last 3-5 years was 7.5%. Now it's going down to 6.4, but this is mainly because European market has gone down for many reasons, because football nowadays competes with many other sports due to the technology. But these numbers are growing in regions like Middle East, South America, and Africa. This is a very important topic for us here today. Please run. Players are the new players, gentlemen. Go ahead, Juan, please. Neymar is bigger than Barcelona, was bigger than Paris Saint-Germain. I know this is sometimes strange for the supporters to know, but you can see. Go ahead. Number of followers. You see Messi in Barcelona is the same. Can we say that Messi is bigger than Barcelona? Here are the numbers. And then Cristiano Ronaldo. Is Cristiano Ronaldo bigger than Juventus? You see the numbers of Cristiano Ronaldo? Massive numbers. Yes, we can say that Cristiano is bigger. Even the big celebrities in the world, you see Cristiano Ronaldo is even bigger than all these celebrities. Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Papa Francisco, Taylor Swift, all the celebrities from the market. So yes, Cristiano Ronaldo is bigger than those celebrities. You see the numbers just published now, also the UEFA survey, or Delegate, sorry. Commercial revenues for the 20 biggest clubs in the world. Commercial revenues. Real Madrid has reached around 1 billion euros in revenues. And you see the commercial revenues represent more than 75% of the revenues of the biggest club in terms of, as I said, revenues in the world, which is Real Madrid. So you see, you have commercial, broadcast, and match day. So you see how the impact, and of course technology has a big impact over it. Please, Ronald. This is how the game has developed. You see, this is a bigger example of LaLiga. For me, is the case to be studied nowadays. This is a Twitter of LaLiga. You see how LaLiga is communicating with the new generation of consumers, not only viewers, but now consumers of the Z generation. Please, Ronald. Way of interact with the new generation. You can go ahead, please. Another example. The gaming mentality behind this sort of communication. Please go on, next one. Maybe if you reflect for your kids, I'm pretty sure that they love it. Please, whatever. Also, maybe you don't like that, but my nephew, he loves this post in the Instagram of Neymar last week. My nephew, he felt like he was with Neymar dancing, playing the game, and celebrating a sport in the esports with Tamer, just watching his social media. Also, Chelsea, new sort of communication. You feel inside play with the players, interact with the players, you feel one of them.
Let's go. Champions.
That's it, please, go ahead. And finally, in order to start our debate, welcome to the new era. So you can celebrate peaceful, lively with me. This was, of course, a great with the word of Marcel, a great activation. Content provider, content, communication, hubs. So clubs and players are now, they act as smart media brands. They are content providers. They are content generators. That's the future of sports. So please, my first question is, so what's and where next? So we'd like to start maybe with Mediapro. We have here a company that provides content, provides strategy. So how Mediapro is a 25 years old company, also a big impact. How do you develop throughout these 25 years of the market? How you see the market nowadays, mainly in Africa content?
Actually, as Mediapro Group, we have been in the market for, as you said, Marcus, for the past 25 years. Our biggest showcase is LaLiga, and happy to have Juan here on the panel, as we have many success stories with LaLiga across the past 25 years. But now, and the focus on Africa, we believe that the application of the new technologies in the African market is a little bit challenging, but exciting at the same moment. So, the way rights are developed in this region of the world, okay, and the way the leagues are produced, okay, and the way the technologies are applied is a little bit behind. But there is a huge potential to close the gap between the European market as a role model for the business and the African market. What we did finally in the last AFCON was a clear example of this, because it was a great success, first time in African history for the opening and the closing matches to be produced in 4K technology and broadcasted around the world. For Africa, this was a great achievement. The VR implications have been a hot topic in Africa, but now I think that with more of the biggest leagues in Africa starting to implement the technology, the VR technology, now Morocco, Tunisia starting, Egypt hopefully very, very soon. And all this gives you a sense that Africa is coming in the implication of technology, of different technologies. The main challenge always comes to the product itself. Okay? Because Marcus, your presentation was very good about the way rights are consumed and the way the big leagues are seen in the eyes of consumers. Okay? So as you showed the LaLiga production, okay, it's a very high-tech production. In the big matches, we usually use the 360 cameras to show replays. The VR is implemented in a very efficient way compared to other markets. And the thing is, how can the economy survive these technologies in the emerging markets? Okay, because every time we speak to leagues around the region about the TV production or about this, the real challenge, everyone has the appetite. Everyone wants the Egyptian or the Moroccan or the Tunisian league to be produce as good as the LaLiga or as they can. But the problem of the cost of the economy and how to cover this cost is the real challenge that everyone in this region should be working around to solve this particular problem.
So do you think that what's the big challenges of this new era of technology innovation in Africa at the moment?
Let me take a case of Egypt, because I'm responsible for the Egyptian market from the Mediapro side. And let's say that the Egyptian league rights as a whole last year did not cross the 300 million Egyptian pound mark, which is around 16 maybe million dollars. Okay, and in order to produce the league in a not 4K but at least HD, 12 cameras, implement VAR, do all this, it takes you $4 to $5 million to do all the aspects. Okay, so this is another additional cost on the rights. Okay, that the market at the moment, okay, cannot survive. So there are two challenges, or two decisions to be made by the decision takers. One is, okay, we implement the technology, we invest, and the product grows. The other thing, that to wait for the product commercially grow to cover the cost. And the right answer is always, okay, that your brand, your perception, okay, is the thing that drives you and responsible for your growth. So the right decision is always, and what we advise is, as a league, or as a country, or as a government, whoever is responsible for the decision taking, should be investing in the way the product is developed and the way the product is consumed. Okay, because even the leagues are brands that represent the country. So if Pyramids is a sample of Egypt, the Egyptian league is another sample of Egypt. Okay, and to present yourself in the best way, the league, especially if it is a big league that has traditions and history and the most successful teams in Africa, should be presented in a way that shows the level that we have. On another side, and coming to even the impact of footballers and clubs and players, the way the league is produced will even impact the number of Egyptian players or Tunisian or Moroccan or African players playing abroad. Because if I'm the football director of a club in LaLiga and I'm watching a 4 cameras production, a player playing for 4 cameras production, my eyes is not very used, okay, to this level of production. I don't see the guy in a good way, I don't see that he plays in a good way, I cannot even judge the player in the proper way that he deserves. Okay, and this will impact the whole thing. So, in my eyes, okay, and not because we will be happy for this to be done, but because this is the reality and this is how football in Africa or in the emerging market will develop, there should be a commitment from the leagues, okay, and from the FAs and from even the governments to improve the level the sports is produced and consumed in each region. Because this is the way forward for the growth of the game in the countries with the application of technologies. Now, there is necessity technologies, and as we say, add-ons. So you don't have to have a sky camera in each match, okay? But you should now have VAR because it's part of the game, it's part of the culture, okay? So now we see matches in Egypt or in the region in which the leagues doesn't implement the VAR, and once an incident happens, a penalty or an offside or whatever, everyone, even in the fans, is shocked like this. Okay, so it's becoming a trend. It's not an option. Okay, it will develop year by year. Okay, and even the implication of using the technology will be easier year after year. I like very much what EPL did in the last this year when they launched the VAR, because they started from where everyone else ended. They left everyone to try to do the technology from their own perspective, and they now are doing the VR technology in a way that does not slow down the tempo of the game. Okay, it's a very American-based culture when it comes to how they implement it, but it is in the favor of the game, in the favor of the EPL as a brand, because a match of Liverpool and Manchester United cannot stop for 2-3 minutes for a referee to check and to go to the screen and to go back and all this. So every asset is responsible for even the way they produce the technology.
Thank you so much, Tamer. I remember when we made the transfer, we advised the transfer of Neymar. Juan is here to join me in that big adventure. I remember that the French league was negotiating the TV rights with the new TV rights agreement for around 700 million. Maybe my French colleagues help me here, around for 700 million euros. And when the rumors of the transfer of Neymar started about his move to Paris Saint-Germain, they stopped, they put negotiations on hold, and they then rejoined the negotiations after the signing of Neymar, starting off for 1.2 billion euros. So only the rumor of a transfer like Neymar has raised more than 30% of the negotiation and the leverage of negotiations of the French league with the broadcasters. On the other hand, the flip side, I remember that what kind of impact would have the transfer of Neymar in LaLiga, because Neymar would be the new generation of LaLiga. We've had Messi We had Cristiano, was also rumors that he was about to move, and he moved later on. So La Liga for me is a very interesting case. How La Liga has also evolved and developed itself as a product. As they like to say, it's not football, it's La Liga. So like maybe Juan could explain us the case of La Liga, which I said, I always use that example. It's a very good case to be touched.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marcos. Thank you, AIAF, thank you, sports makers, and Mabruk for this congress. You're completely right. What I will suggest is let's do a trip to the past. Let's all travel 25 years ago in the past. And I do this because 25 years ago, I was 5 years old, and I reached home, and the only thing I could do in television is to watch 5 channels. That was it. And in those 5 channels, football played a very important role in entertainment. But the reality of nowadays is that a kid that is 5 years old, which is the potential and future fan of football, goes home and they don't have 5 channels on TV. They have at least 200, and then of course they have internet, they have tablets, they have smartphones, they have video games, everything. So they have many ways to entertain themselves. So what is the approach of La Liga? In the past, we were the competition organizer of the Spanish first and second division, but we realized it was not enough. We knew that we counted on the most powerful brands in football, the football world, which are Real Madrid and Barcelona, another 40 very strong brands as well, but we realized it's not enough. We really realized it's not enough to rely on players to be a successful competition all year long and through the years. And of course we had big stars in the past, in the present, but when people ask me how did the Cristiano Ronaldo leaving La Liga affected, of course it affected, but what we want to say is that we work hard, and we have worked hard not to depend on a player to be a successful competition. That's why we have played a very important role investing in branding, in business intelligence, and of course innovation. Innovation is very important because it's the way that we will be able to compete in the present and in the future. And just to share you some things that we have done investing in innovation lately, we can divide them between intrapreneurship, what we do in-house, and open innovation, what we do with the ecosystem outside La Liga. When it comes to intrapreneurship in-house, we have been pioneers, as Tamer was saying, introducing new ways to watch La Liga, 360 replay technology with Intel in the audiovisual landscape. We do that because for us it's very important, all the fans, not just the fans that goes to the stadium in Spain, but the fans are out of Spain and that cannot even come to Spain to watch a match. For us, the fan is global, so we need to give them new, innovative ways to watch a match and to feel amazed by the match that you're watching. So right now we have in the audiovisual landscape the 360 replay. We were the first league introducing such a system. We were the first league pioneers also to fight against piracy. We have a piracy lab since years ago, and we have developed a very strong tool to track the people that are watching illegally our matches, and of course fighting against that. And as well in performance. We developed a tool which is called Mediapro to track the analysis and the performance of all the matches of La Liga, of all the players. So this is what we have done in-house. The positive things of these innovative projects and solutions we came up with is that we are sharing these tools for the shape of football. Because as we said, football is entertainment as well as Fortnite is entertainment, as well as eSports is entertainment. So we are collaborating with federations, leagues, confederations in a global perspective, sharing all these tools for the shape and to improve football in a global level. And we're happy to do so. And then something that we have done this year, open innovation, not intrapreneurship, doing that in-house. When it comes to open innovation, we have done with Microsoft an international call for startups working in innovation and entertainment and sports. So we have done a competition, more than 200 applicants, startups from the whole world applied, and we took the best of them that were working in a smart venue, in fan engagement, in media performance, and we took them to Spain to see what is their ideas and how we can implement these new projects and products that the startup ecosystem is working globally into the Spanish Football League. Our idea is to keep on working on this space because we believe innovation is very important in a moment where the market is very tough. We know we are good, we know we have premium products, but still, as I was saying in the beginning, in our trip to the past, the entertainment options are countless and we need to keep on engaging the audiences.
Very interesting. You touched a very important topic that I was discussing yesterday in the lunchtime, that football nowadays is shown you as an entertainment. And that's why I like to call this sportainment, because football competes the audience now with Netflix, with Amazon, with all the OTTs, all the premium contents that they are available nowadays. I remember that I was talking to Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, and he was saying to me in a conference in New York, he said, Marcos, this is the control, the remote control of your life. So it's all about content, to be content providers. And I see that LaLiga nowadays as a smart media brand. Yeah, it's developed as a smart media brand and offers products and content as a smart media brand. And how LaLiga has used the technology of OTTs and streaming. For example, in YouTube, you have, I think you are streaming YouTube, second division to Asia, to reach the new generation, because YouTube is very friendly for this new generation. So my first question is how LaLiga is approaching these OTTs and this streaming, and how are you advising the clubs, because LaLiga is a governing body for clubs, Spanish clubs. How the Spanish clubs, a part of Real Madrid and Barcelona that are already global, how the other clubs or the small clubs, how they can also benefit from this technology and the innovation era?
That's an interesting question. Well, first of all, regarding the OTT, something that we have done as well last year, which was very innovative, was to launch our own OTT.
You have a channel now in the UK. You have launched the first channel in the UK.
Yeah, but LaLiga, as an institution, we do have as well our own OTT platform, which is called LaLiga Sports TV. It's free to download, anyone can download it. And if you do so, you will see that you have access to watch 40 different sports that are being played in Spain. We do that because we want to give visibility to other sports rather than football. And we do that as well because we want to understand our consumers. So what is happening? We are selling the rights to broadcasters globally, but we don't know how our consumers, how our fans are interacting with our
big challenge to understand the new kind of consumer.
So exactly. So through our OTT, aside of giving visibility to these sports, which is very important, and we are committed to do so, what we do is we start understanding the consumer habits of our fans, and that means what sports do they like, what teams do they follow in LaLiga, how long they engage with our platform, with our OTT, how many hours do they spend a day, which day do they get into the OTT platform, with the idea to collect data and understand our fans for the future, giving them what they want to watch. It's like Netflix. When you get into Netflix, you start to see the suggestions of the platform telling you, you're gonna like this movie, and actually you see it and you like it. So this is now what is on our minds, to understand our fans, to give them what they want to watch. And of course the clubs, we are helping and advising the clubs. Of course, Real Madrid and Barca, they have done a great job, but smaller clubs to get into the digital world, we have helped them to develop apps of the clubs to compete in a global level as well. We have helped them also to use the social media to reach new audiences, not only in Spain. When it comes to social media, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but yes. We have developed a huge ecosystem just in our Facebook page. We have 55 million followers. We are the #1 league in Facebook. And it's not only Facebook, it's Twitter, Instagram, and social networks that only applies in certain regions, such as China, where we have Weibo, such as Russia, where we have VK, social networks that we are not familiar with in this region, but in those regions are very important. So the platforms are very important, the languages are very important. We communicate in 19 different languages, being Arabic, of course, one of them. And we localize the content, and this is something very interesting I want to share with you, because when I learned it, I was really surprised. You are from Brazil, I'm going to share the story of Paulinho when he was in Barca. So what we do in our social networks, because we have global social networks and then we adapt locally the content and the posts. What we do is when Paulinho scored a goal when he was in LaLiga, the way we communicate the goal of Paulinho was different in Brazil, in Spain, and China. How do we communicate the goal of Paulinho in Brazil? The national player of the Brazilian team, the captain of Brazil, has scored a goal. How do we communicate it in Europe? The Barcelona player, Paulinho, scored a goal. How do we communicate that in China? Because the guy was in Evergrande, he went to Evergrande. And of course, all the Chinese people are more familiar to Evergrande. The former Evergrande star Paulinho scored a goal in LaLiga. We do that to create more engagement. It's very important for us to increase the engagement, and also as well to collaborate with influencers. We have done several campaigns with more than 100 influencers in order to introduce the new ball of LaLiga, in order as well to increase the engagement. So we try to be there 24/7 for our fans. We call it the 360 strategy. We have 180 is just the game, and you have to work on the 180 extra, which is being for your fan 24/7. And localizing, of course, the digital ecosystem plays an important role, and that means localizing content, speaking in Arabic, in Chinese, in Portuguese, and using as well content that your audience is willing to use. Here in Egypt, for instance, what we do a lot, we are aware of Mido, that he was a star that played in Celta Vigo years ago. So when it's Mido's birthday in Egypt, you can see how LaLiga Facebook page, official Facebook page, is saying happy birthday, Mido. When Mido, it's been 15 years that he scored a goal with Celta Vigo, we put a video of the goal that Mido scored 15 years ago in Celta Vigo. So we try to adapt what we tell to our fans in order to maximize the engagement. And this is also what we are working with the clubs here, for instance, as well. Another example, when Lasarte came to Al-Ahli, Martin Lasarte, I recall Lasarte was in Real Sociedad playing in Deportivo de La Coruña back in the 90s. So we did a post in Facebook in Arabic congratulating Lasarte and Al-Ahli for having now as a coach a former La Liga coach in Real Sociedad and La Liga player in Deportivo de La Coruña. And of course, the social media in Egypt especially, it gets viral because the local fans realize that La Liga is here, not in Madrid. So we try to find a way to engage with the audience. As I told you, why? Because the competition is very tough, and we know we are a good product, a premium product, but we need to stay and be there for our fans.
So now you are entertainers at the end of the day. So we spoke here about fan engagement, the new generation, and of course esports has a big role on that field. We know from advice many esports, and I always say that maybe you don't like esports, but you cannot ignore the esports, the fast-growing sports in the market. You see now bigger than football. And why is that? Why esports is so big at the moment? The numbers are massive, are robust, and I'd like maybe you can touch the point of esports. What's the mentality behind esports? Sometimes some clubs ask for advice for us. Okay, we need to jump into the esports market, but maybe only the mentality of the gaming mentality behind the esports is also very important for fans engagement, and can serve as an example how clubs can develop and can somehow adapt and evolve in this new era of technology and innovation. So what's behind, and what's the big challenge, it's the legal big challenge in terms of esports at the moment?
What are needs for precisely right now trying to shape it, because there's, well, as
absolutely everything left to do in this respect. From a legal perspective, I think the challenge therefore is huge. Why? Because in terms of regulation, there's absolutely, as you said, nothing. Maybe in terms of integrity, there is something. In terms of dispute resolution system, there is nothing either. We have the ESIC, which eventually will be seen as a global system through which disputes will be able to be adjudicated, but other than that, not much. So I think it's very important, like not only from that perspective, but clubs also approach us seeking for advice in this respect. And it's a new way for them, because I think Tamer was talking about it earlier on. Technology is necessary. Why? Because new forms of income have to be generated, right? And esports is one of them. And it's the perfect way in between matching the traditional audience that has been with traditional sports together with the new audience that comes together with esports. Why? Because we have to see that here is not rather a legal challenge, but it's more like a demographic challenge that traditional sports are facing, which is that audiences are growing older. That's a fact. This is something that I'm coming up with. And therefore, esports in here can have a huge contribution. So those that will come from a traditional sports sphere, we have match game. Why? Because we depart from a basis, which is what would be the user of any standard corporation anywhere in the world. And then if we compare it with what is the user of a sports club, which would be a fan, we see that the number of interactions, the number of consumption, that because of that obvious emotional link that a sports fan is having towards the club, vis-a-vis the one that is having towards Google, for instance. Like a user of Google, how much does he interact with Google rather than a supporter of Real Madrid or of Zamalek or Paris Saint-Germain? How much does he interact with that sporting club? So that is a huge tool that can and should be used, and therefore, like, those sporting entities have that huge value, I would say. How this can be used? This can be used, coming back to the legal perspective, can be used when it comes to negotiating partnership deals. Why? Because, for instance, with nowadays that it's all about the data, and we see that data is about interactions, right? So the more that the consumer or the sporting fan interacts with the brand, be Google, be Real Madrid, the more value he's adding to that. And here we're seeing it with Arsenal Football Club. In the later agreement they reached with a sponsor with an airline company, one of the main requirements that Arsenal was being asked about is that they need to interact more with the fans. Why? Because this brings in data that afterwards can be used by that particular airline company, and that can be used all together. So I was drawing that analogy for esports because I think it's good for sporting entities that will depart from that very, very valuable basis, which is the sporting fan himself, who's ready to interact a lot, share his data, and therefore contribute with a lot of value.
As we were discussing, it's not about only to watch games, to consume an experience. And maybe esports provides this kind of experience in the first person. So you feel that you are playing, you feel you're shooting, you feel you are kicking. So that's what's behind the mentality of the esports and the mentality of the gaming. But of course, there are many challenges for us lawyers. We talk here nowadays about VR, technology, fans engagement, collection of data. Joelle was speaking French, so for those who don't speak French, I'd like you to translate. So, Joelle, in a purely lawyer's perspective, what are the challenges behind advising maybe a player or a club or a league in terms, for example, of data protection, which is very important? I was talking with Omar yesterday. He was mentioning that FIFA was also discussing. We see now the players' electronic passports. There's a lot of data behind, so it's very important the data protection of players, of the consumers. So, what's your view on the challenges for lawyers, and also already answered one of the questions, the challenges for a lawyer in this new era of technology and innovation?
Merci beaucoup, Marcos. Alors, juste avant de commencer, j'aimerais passer un petit message personnel. Est-ce qu'il serait possible de diminuer la clim parce que je suis congelée? je vais essayer de décongeler mon cerveau avec vous. Donc, comme l'indiquait Marcos en introduction, avec l'apparition des nouvelles technologies, on se retrouve avec une émergence d'un sport 2.0 qui entraîne l'apparition massive de données. Et nous, en tant que praticiens, ces données sur le sport, mais aussi sur les sportifs, doivent être appréhendées de la meilleure des manières. Et donc je vous propose que je puisse partager avec vous un certain nombre de réflexions autour de ces sujets pour lesquels on a un intérêt actuel et présent. Et je vous expliquerai plus concrètement à quel exemple je pense concernant ce point. Alors, concernant les data, la première question que l'on se pose généralement, qui n'est pas forcément la bonne, on se pose la question de la protection des data. Mais pour pouvoir envisager correctement la question de la protection des data, il faut préalablement s'être posé la question du détenteur de ces données, de cette data. Et je vais encore plus loin, avant même de se poser la question du détenteur de ces données, il faut se poser la question primordiale de la nature des données. Donc concernant le sport 2.0, ces fameuses données qui sont massivement générées et collectées par les clubs permettent deux choses. Donc la première permet aux clubs d'améliorer l'expérience client, comme on l'a indiqué, l'expérience des fans, en leur permettant un certain nombre d'informations autour de leur équipe, mais également concernant le joueur. Donc on a aussi bien des informations concernant les behind the scenes, ce qui se passe un petit peu en coulisses, comme on a vu avec Marcos en introduction, mais on a aussi un certain nombre d'informations un petit peu plus techniques, souvent un peu plus relatives à la performance du sportif. De l'autre côté, c'est la deuxième utilisation de ces données, c'est une utilisation qui est faite par le club. Donc, avec ces données, elle en profite pour pouvoir améliorer donc, les performances de ses joueurs, mais également travailler sur la prévention des blessures, qui est quelque chose de très important, ou encore améliorer ces différents axes de travaux avec les sportifs. Donc vous comprendrez aisément l'intérêt stratégique de ces données, notamment parce qu'elles permettent de générer des revenus non négligeables, comme on a vu également en introduction, mais aussi parce que concernant les joueurs, elles vont avoir un intérêt spécifique. Donc concernant la première des questions de la nature des données, effectivement ce sont des questions ouvertes. L'idée c'est que vous pouvez intervenir à tout moment, c'est qu'on puisse interagir sur ces différents points. Donc quand on pense données, on a deux possibilités. On a effectivement la donnée un petit peu générique, concernant le sportif, le nombre de kilomètres parcourus à l'entraînement ou au cours du match. Et on a un deuxième type de données qui va poser finalement un petit peu plus de questions, c'est une donnée qui va s'apparenter à une donnée médicale. Et on verra effectivement que dans le cadre de la donnée médicale, le joueur est assimilé à un patient. Et partant de ce principe-là, c'est une donnée particulière qui devrait être traitée de façon spécifique. Et avec l'explosion du sport 2.0, on se retrouve avec énormément de données qu'on récupère au titre des trackers qui vont entraîner une explosion de données médicales qui pourrait entraîner un certain nombre de corrélations à terme, notamment concernant des pathologies. Je m'explique. À ce jour, compte tenu puisque c'est assez récent, compte tenu du panel, il n'est absolument pas représentatif et on n'a pas assez de données historiques pour pouvoir en déduire un certain nombre d'informations. Mais nous savons d'ores et déjà que dans quelques années, on aura un panel qui sera beaucoup plus représentatif et on aura assez de données historiques pour pouvoir avoir un certain nombre de corrélations. Donc ça veut dire que des données aujourd'hui qu'on considère comme n'étant pas des données médicales pourraient, dans quelques années, compte tenu des corrélations qu'on pourra être amené à faire, pourraient se transformer finalement en données médicales. Donc ça, c'était le premier point sur lequel je souhaitais attirer votre attention. Le deuxième point, qui est effectivement une suite logique de la première, c'est qui est le détenteur de la donnée. Donc effectivement, si on considère qu'on est face à une donnée médicale, le détenteur de la donnée serait le joueur. Si en revanche on considère qu'on est face à une donnée qui est beaucoup plus générique et que cette donnée a été collectée et mise sous forme de base de données par le club, on peut très bien considérer dans ce cas-là que le club est détenteur de ces données. Donc se pose pour nous en tant que praticiens la question, à partir du moment où on considère que ces données appartiennent au club, de leur transmission éventuelle qui pourrait intervenir auprès d'un tiers. Donc ça, effectivement, et ça entraîne également la question de savoir dans quelle mesure, si la donnée n'appartient pas au sportif, il a la possibilité de s'y opposer dans un tel transfert. Un autre élément, pour le coup, donc on arrive à cette troisième question qui concerne la protection des données et la sécurité dans l'utilisation. Alors ça, c'est une question qui est très importante parce que finalement, on sait d'ores et déjà qu'il y a un risque majeur concernant la protection des données. Pourquoi? Parce que actuellement, les données qui sont considérées comme sensibles, et c'est le cas des données médicales, ce sont des données qui sont protégées par un système de cryptage. C'est-à-dire qu'on part du principe qu'on va donner et je vais vous expliquer pourquoi je rentre un petit peu dans le détail, on part du principe que le système de cryptage est corrélé au calcul des nombres premiers. Donc les nombres premiers sont très très longs à calculer et je donne un exemple, on va considérer que pour déchiffrer un nombre premier élevé, il faudrait 1000 ans à un ordinateur pour pouvoir y accéder. Ce qui permet finalement, on a 1000 ans devant nous, ce qui permet de protéger ces données sensibles. Sauf que nous savons dans le même temps qu'il y a une augmentation extrêmement rapide de tout ce qui concerne la technique et finalement ce qui est protégé aujourd'hui, on sait très bien que demain, il ne le sera pas. Et pour aller encore un petit peu plus loin dans ça, il y a eu une avancée majeure au niveau des technologies et la coïncidence avec le timing qui est tellement étonnant qu'on pourrait croire que c'est Patricia qui a commandé ce rapport. On a, depuis hier, pendant qu'on était en train de faire notre premier jour de congrès, depuis hier, Google a créé, via ce qu'on appelle un ordinateur quantique, ils ont la possibilité en seulement 3 minutes, donc on parle de puissance de calcul pour que vous puissiez comprendre, c'est-à-dire qu'en 3 minutes, Google avec cet ordinateur quantique fait ce que les ordinateurs supercalculateurs d'aujourd'hui font en 10 000 ans. Je me répète pour m'assurer que vous l'ayez bien compris. Donc, les ordinateurs les plus performants au jour d'aujourd'hui mettraient 10 000 ans à décrypter un calcul que le superordinateur quantique de Google a décrypté donc depuis hier en 3 minutes. Donc vous imaginez, et là c'est vraiment actuel, vous imaginez les conséquences concernant les problématiques de sécurité, ce que l'on considérait hier comme étant sécurisé, avec ces ordinateurs quantiques, donne des perspectives qui sont extraordinaires. Donc on aura, nous, à être attentifs à ces problématiques à différents niveaux pour voir effectivement comment est-ce qu'on va pouvoir accompagner les données de nos joueurs et s'assurer effectivement qu'elles sont bien protégées. Un autre élément concernant l'utilisation de la donnée, se posera finalement la question d'un jeune talent qui a eu un certain nombre de données d'entraînement et pour lequel un autre club envisage de le recruter. On peut très bien considérer que des données qui aujourd'hui ne sont pas néfastes, à partir du moment où on les transmet au club suivant pourrait se retourner contre le joueur. Tout simplement parce qu'avec les différents croisements et les différentes potentialités qu'on a envisagées un petit peu plus tôt, ces données d'entraînement, le club qui envisage de recruter le joueur pourrait très bien considérer que ça pourrait entraîner un risque de pathologie et donc de blessure qu'il ne souhaite pas assumer. Autrement dit, on se retrouvera un petit peu comme dans les films scientifiques, de science-fiction, comme Bienvenue à Gattaca, où on aurait un joueur qui se retrouverait discriminé d'une certaine manière parce que son historique d'entraînement ou son historique médical, entre guillemets, pourrait sous-entendre qu'il aurait un risque de blessure très élevé. Malheureusement, ce ne sont que des statistiques, et donc on sait à quel point il faut prendre ces différents éléments avec beaucoup de précautions. Une dernière question, toujours autour de ces éléments, concerne la question de l'accès à l'information. C'est-à-dire qu'à un moment donné, on a des personnes du staff qui vont avoir accès à une information. Quel sera le devenir de cette information? Notamment si finalement cette personne va chez un club adverse, finalement, et se retrouve détenteur d'une information capitale sur un joueur. Donc, ce sont toutes ces problématiques, effectivement, sur lesquelles certains clubs professionnels travaillent déjà et font signer un certain nombre de contrats à leurs joueurs pour pouvoir avoir accès à ces informations et régler les problématiques. Mais effectivement, en fonction du droit local et du contexte, on devra, en tant que praticien, être attentif effectivement à ces différentes questions. Concernant le passeport électronique FIFA, effectivement, comme on discutait avec Marcos, on se demandait, donc à la lumière de ce qui a été dit, notamment concernant la protection des données, comment est-ce que, après c'est une question à destination de la FIFA, hein, comment est-ce que la FIFA envisage la protection des données? Donc ça, c'est si on pouvait avoir quelques éclaircissements pour pouvoir nourrir notre réflexion ou quelques idées, ce serait effectivement très intéressant. Le deuxième point, le deuxième élément sur lequel je voulais également attirer votre attention concerne l'utilisation des médias sociaux par les joueurs. Donc, au niveau de l'utilisation, les joueurs considèrent pour leur part que les médias sociaux sont généralement détenteurs de leurs différents comptes, comme on l'a vu en introduction avec Marcos. Donc ils ont la possibilité finalement de l'utiliser un petit peu comme ils le veulent, sauf que certains joueurs ne mesurent pas l'importance du contenu qu'ils vont générer et ne se rendent pas forcément compte que finalement en publiant quelque chose qu'ils considèrent ne pas être dans le jeu va avoir une incidence les concernant, mais également concernant leur équipe. Je m'explique. On se retrouve, et c'est le nouveau paradoxe, avec un certain nombre de choses qui se passent à l'extérieur du game et finalement qui vont influencer ce qui va se passer au niveau de l'équipe. Donc le premier exemple dont je voulais vous parler, c'est quelque chose qui s'est passé donc, cette année pendant la Champions League, c'est un match retour. Donc on a un joueur qui a fait un commentaire sur son compte Instagram concernant la VAR. Le commentaire est le suivant: "This is a shame. They put 4 guys who do not understand football to be watching in slow motion. This is surreal. Or with the guy put his hand on his back. Oh, fuck off." Ce qui était important dans cette affaire, c'est qu'on était face à un joueur qui n'avait pas participé au match et qui n'était pas sur la feuille de match, tout simplement parce qu'il était blessé. Et donc, suite à ce commentaire qui a été fait sur son compte Instagram. Il s'est retrouvé donc, sanctionné.
That's an interesting topic. I have here a question exactly in this point. How the limit of the player's liability when it comes to things they post on social media? Is it considered a violation of freedom of expression? We know that now the new FIFA disciplinary code, for example, provides for sanctions on player even outside action or behavior outside of the pitch, namely social media posts. We had Neymar case, for example. Is the brand new FIFA disciplinary code. What's the limit of freedom of expression and the use of social media in this technology era?
Effectivement, c'est un débat totalement ouvert. C'est-à-dire que les joueurs, en tant que détenteurs de leurs différents comptes et de leurs réseaux sociaux, considèrent finalement que, comme un employé lambda, ils ont cette liberté d'expression que finalement on leur retire. De l'autre côté, effectivement, les clubs, les ligues, les fédérations et les différentes instances considèrent qu'on est face à des personnalités publiques. Et donc, à ce titre, leur liberté d'expression doit être restreinte en tenant compte effectivement de la responsabilité sociale d'une part et de la responsabilité éthique qui leur incombe.
Thank you. Juan, coming to the question, do you think that the new digital technology shall be binding to be taken into account by a panel while for example, deciding a matter? So maybe Alfonso can answer that.
Maybe you have waiting for your answer also on this. No, you're 100%. This is something that, and in fact, it's something that is being taken account nowadays. We've seen it like in main procedures in international arbitration, like FIFA not only, and eventually CAS, where absolutely everything, every single feedback, because at the end of the day, it's a declaration of the intention of one of the parties whenever entering into a contract or committing a certain action. Right, so no matter whether it's done through a signed contract or a text or an SMS or a WhatsApp or a voice note or a tweet eventually. This is being used nowadays in particularly in front of FIFA, where tweets made, for instance, by agents or representatives of players are used as a very important tool. In order to what? In order to reveal what is the true intention or how should it be considered. Then we should be facing something else, which is in order to trace back that communication. Why? Because back in the day, when it was by means of written communication by post, it's very easy to track it backwards. Same for a fax. But what happens for WhatsApp, right? What happens with the WeChat? Because nowadays, by means of piracy, like all these sort of communications can be somehow amended or altered. So that is the reason why PAN should apply it, yes, but after making very sure and certifying that indeed this means of communication hasn't been manipulated.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question, maybe about Tamer, if you could just address the issue of how grow the rights of the Egyptian Football League and how do you think the clubs can benefit from it?
The idea is always a challenge. This has been a very long discussion across the past 10 years. Okay, so I think that there are a lot of trials that have been done in the last 5 years, okay, with the right holders to develop the way rights are produced and consumed in Egypt, but it was not into the right discussion. And I think that after the AFCON, the Egyptian football needs rebranding. So as the EPL, that as we say, shut down and they started the league from the beginning. The Egyptian league needs this. Now we have the infrastructure of the AFCON. There was a huge commitment from the Egyptian government to do 6 very good stadiums and a very high specs. The way even the fans are back with the application of Taskarki, which is a very good way of getting fans back after the disasters that happened in the Egyptian league through the past years. So now we have the infrastructure that will allow you to get the league back. But the thing is the commitment from the government to get the fans back to the stadiums, and for the right holders to produce the league in the way that it should be perceived as the biggest league in Africa. I don't want to feel very Egyptian or what I would say, but as a country, okay, we're by far the most successful in Africa on national teams and on the clubs level as well. So the product that we have as a quality is very good. The missing part is how we present this to the world, how we produce the league in a very good way, number of cameras, new technologies, VR implementation, fans back to the stadium, new graphics, and then you will find a new league that will come. And the question that I was talking about in the previous thing, that, okay, the league now doesn't generate enough revenues, so should we add another cost? Yes, we should add another cost. Because at the end of the day, you have been rolling the same model for the past 10, 15 years, and nothing is changing. Okay, so you should invest in the product, okay, in order to revamp the whole industry. And if you're investing in infrastructures, billions in building stadiums, okay, why not invest a fraction of this in the product itself, and to have to revamp it and how to present it to the people, okay, in order to get the best return of the whole industry for a long time. Because for me, investing for stadiums, for infrastructure, without investing in a product, is a complete waste of time, and we will lose again the legacy chance of building a big legacy after that we lost 13 years ago in 2006, and now if we did not use the chance, we'll lose it again in 2019.
Thank you so much. I think we have time for one question from the audience. Any question? No question, so would like, any question? No? I see a hand raised. Good, so we had a great panel. I would like to then thank you all very much for your great insights, and see you in the next panel. Thank you so much.